Hi, Chris. Best stool in the house, right in front of you.
Let's talk.
Yeah, sure. Let me put the tray away.
Can we go to the back room?
Yeah, sure. Boy, you sure got something on your mind. Right here. I'm on the wall side, Chris. I've got to keep an eye on the front room.
Sandy.
Yeah?
Lee wants me to go back to Boston. Well?
I heard you.
Has he said anything to you about it?
Mostly that you won't listen to him.
He makes no sense. He wants me to take a couple of summer classes, just that much added expense.
Doesn't grudge you the money.
What's the matter?
What do you mean?
You sound strange. Did somebody come in?
No.
You sure?
Chris.
I'm sorry, Sandy. I don't mean to bug you, but he's bugging me. Now, what's his problem anyway?
Chris, to Lee, you're the one thing in his life he cares about. I couldn't tell you the times I wanted to take in a movie, and Lee has said no. Chris can use the money toward a law book.
You never pulled a be grateful bit before.
I'm not trying to make you feel sorry. I'm just trying to say, well, with Lee, you come before everything.
Always before. He wanted me hanging around him. The closer, the better. Now, why suddenly the big switch? Why go now instead of stay?
Well, I know he doesn't like the way Ann Howard's been bothering you with a lot of questions.
Well, why does it bother him so much?
Well, she has gotten you upset, Chris. We've all seen it. Lee is not just being hard-nosed.
If I can take Ann Howard's questions, why can't Lee?
Stop it, Chris. Lee's right. We were okay before she came back. Look, I know it wasn't the greatest, not for you, not for me, Lee either. But at least we were a family. We weren't at each other's throats. I mean, seriously, Chris. Once in a while, we really had a ball. But since Ann Howard's come back, every day is like a quiz game.
It is not Ann who makes me ask questions. It's Lee.
Look, I've got to get back. Can I get you something?
No. I'll just sit here for a while.
Stephen? Stephen?
I'm here.
Oh, you startled me.
I'm sorry. Where have you been, Mother?
Oh, just doing some errands for Mr. Peyton. Were you waiting to see me?
Yes.
Why?
Mother, look at me. I want to know the truth. Was it you who called the hospital in Boston asking about Brian Colby's condition?
Is that what you were waiting here to ask me?
Was it you?
Well, it's a little embarrassing for me to say, but... yes, I called the hospital.
Why?
Because I was worried.
Obviously.
About you.
Worried about me? The last time you were worried about me was when you got a phone call saying I'd broken my collarbone when I was 6. You were so worried about me, you sent Mr. Peyton's chauffeur to bring me back from the doctor's office.
Oh, dear. How do you ever manage to remember all those things?
And believe me, it's not difficult.
You know, Stephen, sometimes I think I should have had a girl instead of a boy. Then we could have talked about, recipes, furniture, hairdos, things like that, instead of broken collarbone.
Why did you call the hospital so many times and refuse to identify yourself? Why didn't you say something when I got on the phone?
Well, I told you, dear, I was embarrassed.
About what?
Well, about being an interfering mother.
I want an answer. A straight, honest answer.
All right. I'm a meddling mother. The since you became involved with this Miss Howard, I've felt she had a strange kind of hold over you. You may not realize it, dear, but you've done things for her as an attorney that, well, you wouldn't do for just a client.
Go on.
Well, I don't see how I could make my feelings any more clear.
Why are you so hostile toward Ann Howard?
Oh, dear, you're just imagining that.
The night you and Mr. Peyton came to dinner, you were happy and gracious and certainly friendly. Until I started asking you questions about Brian Colby, and then you turned to ice. I wasn't imagining that. And that frightened look you had in your face when you learned Brian Colby was dying. I wasn't imagining that. And yet you continue to insist you never even met Brian Colby.
This isn't a courtroom, Stephen. I will not be cross-examined and bullied.
Will you answer my questions?
I've already told you everything I know.
Tell me about this. Among Brian Colby's effects, I found several sketches. Exact duplicates of the oil painting of Catherine Peyton that hung over that fireplace for years until it was slashed to pieces. Now, was Brian Colby the artist who painted the portrait of Catherine Peyton?
Yes.
Yet you still insist you never met him, never knew it.
I still insist that
What was there between you and Brian Colby?
I told you nothing.
You met him when he painted Catherine Peyton's portrait, didn't you?
No.
Why did you lie to Betty and tell her you sent the portrait out to be clean when you knew it had been slashed to pieces? Now, Betty's been positive something's been going on in this house, and now I know she's right. I want to know what it is. I want the truth, Mother.
Oh, it's Betty. Betty is the one who's been spying, telling lies about us. Your wife...
I know that look. I know that sound you get in your voice just before you're about to verbally assassinate someone. Well, it won't work this time, Mother.
You're not interested in any comment that might be made about your wife, are you? No matter what it might be.
Do you think I'd believe you?
Probably not.
You'd make up anything to avoid telling me the truth about Brian Colby, wouldn't you?
I'm not interested in Brian Colby, but I am interested in you, Stephen, and in your happiness. Now, I know you love Betty. You should. But don't let that blind you to reality.
I'll never forgive you if you try to destroy my marriage. Never.
I think that you had better get your wife out of this house, Stephen, for two very good reasons. It isn't a healthy situation having her here. Spying on us, telling lies about us, getting you all upset about things that don't concern either one of you. But there's an even more important reason, Stephen. It isn't healthy to have your wife in the same house with Rodney Harrington, especially after what happened. Sorry. It isn't easy for me to say this, Stephen. But when you were in Boston, the two of them met in your house.
You're lying.
Of course.
I know you, Mother. You're lying.
Stephen, when you were in Boston, the two of them met in your house. That's why I called the hospital several times to tell you that they were together in your home. I couldn't seem to help myself. And yet each time I called, I thought better of it, and then I merely inquired about Brian Colby's condition. That's why I couldn't answer you when I heard your voice. I wanted to, but I couldn't. I didn't have the heart to tell you on the phone.
Preview from the continuing story of Peyton Place.
Rodney has nothing to do with it.
Are you sure? Are you sure you're not using Chris for your own needs?
What needs?
I think you ought to be able to answer that one yourself.
You had to come back and hurt him again.
No.
I saw you. You did it.